Welcome to the podcast where we take a deep dive into the stories behind construction business leaders. We will share how they got started, how they found success, and the lessons learned along the way. I'm your host, Eric Fortenberry. Welcome to Builder Stories. Welcome back, everybody. Today, I am here with Edward and Eddie from Ion Electrical. These guys are located in New Hampshire, and we're really excited to have them on Builder Stories today. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Going on. Glad to be here.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on. So, why don't Edward, why don't you give us a little rundown of, what's Ion Electrical? What do you guys do? And, how'd you get into this?
Yeah, so, me and Eddie, we go back about maybe 15 years now. And ever since we met, we've always known we wanted to do business. And so just going through our careers, he was going through building industrial machinery. I got into the trades, and we still had that mentality. And so then when our paths crossed again, because he traveled the world, he came across Massachusetts, and I was like, I got my license, and my other business partner, Ramon, he's a master electrician as well. And I was like, we got everything. Let's just do this, man. We can literally do it if we don't need anybody else. And so Eddie jumped on board, and we just hit the ground running, and we're just correcting course. We kind of did it the long way, to really take any business loans. Just started working on the relationships, and then trying to figure out what we're really good at and what we're not. And then it's just been the last couple of years, just kind of trimming the fat and dialing in like our niche and all of our SOPs. But we're really into technology, and I think this is a really good lane for us to flex on people and show them that what we can really do. You know what I mean? And so we're gonna blend that with the electrical industry as well. Like I said earlier, the niching down, that's the power walls, span panels, smart home, anything Internet of Things in your home we can do. A lot of our marketing lately has been pushing energy efficiency, and lighting as well. A lot of our customers have been asking about that. So that seems to be the realm we're operating in with the residential.
Gotcha. And so you're doing both though, residential and commercial work, is that right?
Yeah. Yep. In commercial, again, we don't do like everything. We primarily like the stuff that looks cool after, like lighting. We did a Lazy Boy where it was just so outdated and just really like just dull inside. And we went in and it was just, the transformation was beautiful. You know what I mean? And so for me, those are the things that I learned from like Logan and all them from CGN, was like that eye candy, you know what I mean? And so we try to stick to the things that look really good on the website, on social media. So in commercial, same thing. It's like beautiful lighting for like big box stores. We did a T-Mobile. They're really cool stores to do because they like to do accent lighting and stuff behind the walls and everything. So that's our favorite things we like to do in commercial. So we're very particular on both sides. We don't like to waste our time on things that suck or we don't make a lot of money on.
Yeah, exactly. Like we want to enjoy, like all our guys like on the team, that they're happy with what they're doing, what jobs they're on. Because if they're not liking the jobs that we're bidding out to, it's like it's going to show on their work ethic and how they're interacting with other trades on site.
Sure. So what does the team look like today?
Yeah. So right now we've been trying to keep it pretty tight, for the most part, just because the things that we're trying to do, like we use a lot of AI. And just automation. And so we're trying to focus on building a team who are kind of passionate about that, and so right now we have about 2 guys out in like on the residential side that are kind of running the crews. We subcontract a lot when it comes to the bigger jobs, but out in the field, that's the bigger side. So we got about 6 people in the field or in the office right now, just because with all the automation we're doing, it's like you can eliminate like a large group of people, you know what I mean? So that's just been a huge focus of us, as well as the automation and the AI part of it as well.
Man, that's great. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more. I'm intrigued. So tell us, like, the automation, the AI. Is that coming in for to help with the business operations, or are you using this to actually deliver part of your product and service to to your customers?
I think both, man. So for
yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit of both, because it's helping us streamline a lot of stuff, especially if after Eddie goes out and does a site visit. We could take all the information he's gathered at a site visit, throw it in an AI, and we're able to come up with this nice detailed scope of work. And even with all the information we feed it from, our manual hourly rate, all that stuff, it's able to spit out an estimate really, really quick. and send out to the customer right away within like hours, within an hour or two after he did the site visit. And time kills deals.
So some specific stuff that we're doing is I've been going in and creating like individual experts, like AI expert bots on estimating. I have a professional writer. I'm creating a legal expert, HR, anything I could think of that we need help with the business. Obviously, it won't replace those roles, but it's going to help us make faster decisions. And out in the field, like he said, I'll go in there instead of measuring everything now. I'll use Polycam. I'll do the LiDAR scan, build a floor plan, send over to Eddie. Now he doesn't have to ask me. He could just run his runs inside there, 3D space. And it's a lot faster. Yep. And I literally have that Rabbit R1 device. I don't know if you've seen that online. I literally have that on the way. I think I was the second or third batch. So as soon as that thing comes in, I would love to automate a lot of stuff that we do. For example, like if a lead comes in, I want to teach it how to grab all that, put it in the CRM. But then I also wanted you can have it record steps inside of software so you can log in. So for example, I can log in and do a whole sequence of clicks and functions in JobTread. It'll learn those skills. So next time I ask it to do that, it could go in and actually move the mouse and do those functions. So we're going to be experimenting with a lot of those things where maybe Zapier can't really do that section just yet, So I guess large action models, what they're saying, it's no longer just talking to, it's actually going to start doing things now too. So yeah, man, we're trying to stay on the cutting edge of it and do things that other electrical contractors maybe aren't even thinking about yet. And I think that's going to give us a little bit of a leg up on other contractors.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's giving you a huge edge. I mean, again, in today's age, I mean, even just getting those bids back, being responsive, I find that's the number one thing. People buy from people they like and people that they believe are going to be easy to work with. And if you're churning those bids, getting them back out, you're super responsive, however you go about it. I mean, leveraging AI and technology. I mean, I'm all about that too. That's a great use.
100%. And I even you could ask Eddie, we even use AI even into our day-to-day daily life. Like I use AI every single day, like whether it's like Gemini, which is basically, super Google. Like if you ask it a question, instead of like going through a bunch of like threads or a bunch of links or look through a, 15-year-old freaking blog, Gemini just gives you the answer instead of fishing through. Or like ChatGPT, that most people know about, and then there's also Claude we use as well.
Dude, I'm also building a Shin Fu bot. I haven't even said anything to Tom and all them yet. But I was like, you know what? Like, we don't always have time to do role plays, and I've literally done a couple practice runs, and it knows everything about Battleground and the Shin Fu. So that helps us with our calls because again, we're trying to leverage AI to help improve even our customer service. So if I can walk through a scenario with it and it's going to bounce back good ideas and it's going to help us on our calls and just get to the motive like they try to teach us and improve customer service. And we already do an awesome job at that. So imagine now we do this and I'm always looking for ways to improve how we help people, you know what I mean? And so I think this is just opening the doors to so many different possibilities. I don't even think we scratched the surface yet.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, maybe just for those out there, why don't you explain a little bit more about, when you say you're creating a bot and then you're training it, help others, understand what you mean by that. And is Gemini the one, or, which one are you using to create these bots?
So right now, it's a combination of all three, but not to get super complicated. Like if anybody's starting off, this is the reason why I'm doing it. Even like you said it before this, Eric, like, if there's anybody coming on with something to learn is, I would first learn, if you haven't did a business, what is it, like a business plan, maybe take that's where you can start because that's all kinds of information about your business. And that's what these bots like. They like data, they like information. So if you feed it everything about your business, and then you could start from there and you can ask it questions. But basically, the reason why I listed all those other ones, because it's expensive to try to afford all those things right off the bat. So you don't have a big budget. You can afford $20 a month. That's how much the paid version of GPT is. And if you can get in and feed it all those things and maybe identify where you're having the most problems, I would start there. You know what I mean? And then there's YouTube tutorials. Anybody listening to this, Ion Electrical, if you want to reach out to me, I'm literally trying to help other contractors by starting it with myself, with our company first. And if I could figure out the kinks and get it wrong, I feel like I can go to other contractors too and ask them, like, where are your issues or where do you want to improve? And we can try to create a customized bot where it knows everything about your company, but it's also an expert on that topic of the thing that maybe you're having a problem with. Let's say you're having a problem with hiring. Maybe we create a bot where, again, where it knows everything about your business. We plug in all the data from websites that have free PDF downloads and information on hiring processes. Maybe MIT or Harvard has stuff on those topics. You feed it all that information, and so now you're like, hey, I'm trying to hire. Where do I start? It'll literally give you information, give you advice on where to start. It'll even plug in links. I just think it gives you the power of 10 for small businesses who don't have that leverage or that money to grow like a lot of other people can. This gives you almost that same playing field, I think.
Yeah, 100%, man. I'm obviously a huge proponent of AI technology. I mean, I don't know how I would live without it anymore. It's like every question that comes to my mind, it's like, well, I could either go, Google and spend, a bunch of time searching and reading, or I could just ask ChatGPT or one of the others, and it just like gives you the answer. Like, I was even wondering the other day, I mean, how's this, what's this going to do to Google and to the advertising and everything, when like, I'd rather just let it curate a beautiful, easy to digest response. And sometimes it gets a little verbose and random. You're just like, all right, give it to me in bullet points, break it down. Let's try again. I mean, it's definitely not always right, so, I definitely, want to caution people, you got to check everything that comes out 100%. There. Don't just take it as, as factual. But man, it like for us, I see everybody on our entire team using it, from, crafted marketing content, how to respond to this email, to, when I'm doing development, our developers, like, I can literally, like, if I'm working on a piece of code, I can just, copy paste that code into there and say, hey, I'm getting this error, what's wrong? And it just like fixes it. It's just like mind blowing. Like it went from, might take me, 10, 20 minutes to troubleshoot something to like 10 seconds.
No, it's awesome. Like I use it a lot for specifically Claude for verbiage of a lot of things. Cause like I've always was really bad at like writing, whether it's like scope, just writing in general. So like I'll just, tell Claude, okay, this is what I want to say in this particular paragraph or whatever, and just makes it just cleans everything up for me. Yep. It's like sweet.
Yeah, and I always tell people too, like, what you're seeing, it's the worst it'll ever be, because it's just always getting better, right? So it's like, yeah, you definitely want to keep checking it. That, I think, me and Eddie, we talked about that. Like, no matter what, I think there should always be human intervention, at least before it goes out. I was watching something yesterday where it was saying if we use this right, AI could kind of get us to that last mile. You know what I mean? Take over all those mundane things that like are just clicks, and you know what I mean? Do all that for us. And then with that last mile, we'll make those final decisions. So like with the estimating, we have a bot that I'm trying to work on to get better and more accurate, but I feed it RS means data. That's where we get all of our national averages for things, right? And then we feed it NEC code. So those are the two big ones where we try to be as accurate as possible. And then it has our information, and so with that being said, I can plug in some architect plans and it's going to run takeoffs and get measurements, and it's going to apply those measurements to NEC code. And then after the NEC code, it's going to apply RS means data to it to get our baseline pricing, and you can go very specific down to even in New Hampshire where we're at. And so that's what I mean by getting us to that last mile. So then once we go in there, we're just reviewing it, tweaking some things, applying it to real life scenarios where like it doesn't know we need a work trailer over here. We know that. So that only takes us a short amount of time, whereas before maybe, I don't know, sometimes weeks, depending on how big the project is. So just stuff like that, man. We can't hire a big team of estimators and engineers. So this gets us pretty close, and then we make the call from there.
And earlier we were talking about how kind of one of your big focuses now is you've been working on building out your catalog and JobTread. I mean, how are you taking that data and using that, to incorporate it into the catalog?
It's a good question. So I like how you can export a lot of information from JobTread. Before we came from JobTread, we were at Jobber. And so I did a similar thing where, we're plugging in all this information and then we're asking it to look for patterns and trends and kind of see where our most of our profit margins are. And so that kind of helped decide that, like, all right, all this technological stuff that we're doing, that seems to be like our meat potatoes, like the power walls, the span panels, EV chargers, any sort of energy monitoring device, smart home. Those were all the ones that we were getting like approved more, closing more, and we were just having a harder time competing with some of the other smaller electrical contractors where they got less overhead. There's a lot less things to try to, it's harder to compete with them on. So we realized, let's stay over here because there's less traffic in our own lane, right? Like it's just really us. And even with the SEO, by doing that, I've been noticing that we're getting more calls often now because, again, there's less like chaos or less people competing. Like right now, we're only few people who are Tesla solar roof shingle certified. Like there's not that many people in our area.
Yeah.
So again, it makes it easy to do business and take care of our customers because we're not going 100 miles an hour. Like we can slow down. We can actually get really good and knowledgeable about the things that we're really good at. And I think that's improved our customer service a lot lately. It also gives me time to slow down and build my relationships. Again, another advice I would give to contractors coming up is, again, those relationships, they're huge. I would even focus that more than like advertising. Honestly, just build your network up and you still market and advertise, but the relationships are going to be the primary thing that gets you going, man. It gives you that longevity.
Yep. Yeah. Make sure your face is all around your area, especially if where you want to work at. Show up in those little events, whether it's BNI or anything like that. Just in general, just interact with your community.
And you know why that's good is because
area.
Once we built our network up, now that we're doing all this battery and all this, the EV charging, the smart home, all of our community, everybody that knows us, like they know us as the battery people. Like there's a local university over here called Pinkerton Academy, and the head dude over there went to our website, saw that all we talk about are batteries, and we're all in. And so he goes, okay, if I'm going to do anything with batteries, it's going to be this company. And he sent us an email, and it was just so cool seeing all the effort we're putting in there, putting out into the ether. It's coming back in different ways. Like we just went there not to do work, just to promote batteries to a bunch of kids who were maybe thinking about getting into the field. And that was very rewarding. So I was just super happy to see that led us down that path. And even that school now, they have a scholarship in our name. Like for anybody who wants to go down the path of maybe robotics, getting into battery stuff, like there's a scholarship in our name, and that's just so cool. Like we didn't ask for that. It's just what came back to us because of what we're putting out there.
Great, man. Are you guys looking at hiring from, out people coming out of the school? And I mean, has that been a good source of applicants for you?
It was kind of nice standing there and having these kids come up. There was one kid that came up initially, and a couple of friends came with them, but they ended up kind of walking away. I don't know if they got bored or something, but he stuck around and we talked, and we had a good conversation. You don't really know how it sinks in. He leaves, and then he comes back with an even bigger group of kids, and we're all talking. I ended up giving them business cards, and they seem to all be really into the stuff that we're doing because I wasn't just talking about electrical. I was like, hey, we're eventually looking for engineers. We're looking for, we don't want to just be a small electrical company. I'm trying to be like a firm, like a big, I want a one-stop shop for, everything that we do. And so I'm going to need really smart people on the team. So I'm not just looking for just, Sparkies. It's people who bring other stuff to the table. Like Eddie brings industrial machinery. I'm a graphic designer. I love marketing and branding, another of our guy, he's a graphic designer, amazing artist. And I think that brings something different to the table than just your typical, the way normal contractors think, so I think that's what makes us different.
I would say that, hey, it's definitely more unique than what I typically see, for sure.
Yeah.
How much would you say, though, that, if you had to kind of think about building that dream team, what do you think are the most important, qualities and skills that you need to have for your team as a whole?
I would say definitely be open-minded to, communication, and be open to doing things differently in other ways. Like, there's a lot of different ways you could go about certain things. So kind of like, the typical story, like maybe somebody that's like been doing something for 30 years, but they're so hard-headed and not willing to change their ways or twist the way they think about something. I would definitely want people that are open to that concept and just twisting the way they're thinking or just how they want to go about certain things, because there's other different ways to do things.
Yeah, like when we do the interviews, I'll do the first ones and I'll let Ramon, our other business partner, do it because he's the master electrician. What I want to know first is stuff like what Eddie said, like, are you open-minded? Are you willing to learn something different beyond just what you're used to out in the field? We do things a little different here. Are you what's your work ethic like? Like we're real tight, like our crew, and so it's like you can't mess the vibes up, man. Like you got to be still, you got to have a sense of humor, not take yourself too seriously, but like when we do get on the job, it's go time, it's time to work. But also like, I just think those things are hard to teach. So if I can capture that right away, in the beginning and see what kind of a human being you are, and I think that's going to help. And then we'll move on to the technical stuff, because I feel like anybody can learn those things. You know what I mean? It's just like, what's going on up here, and what's your work ethic first.
And that's so important, and I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, finding the right culture fit, and the people that have the right, personality, characteristics and traits, that are gonna be a great fit with the rest of the team. I mean, that's so important. If you got the guy who's the most talented person in the world, but he can't get along with anyone, it's not going to end up being a positive, team environment. One bad apple can spoil the whole apple cart. And so, I think at the end of the day, like when you think about, building the right team, it's all about culture and making sure that, these people that you're adding on, because, you're spending your time with your coworkers, more than you're spending that time with your own family. And so finding those right people, I feel like a lot of times people will dive into, the specific skills and traits, and they kind of look past all the other things. And then it's either an afterthought or it's something that they don't even touch on. And it takes them a couple months of working with them to find out, man, like, well, why do we even hire this person? They're not a good fit. And you've just wasted a bunch of time, money, effort, training them, trying to onboard them. And it's like, you got to do your due diligence up front.
Absolutely. And not only that, now the whole time, obviously waste your time, money trying to train this person, but you just made everybody else on your team uncomfortable for that also that amount of time as well. Because the rest of your team that that's understands the work cultures, now that their day-to-day work has been ruined. Every single oh man, I got to work with that guy again today. It's like, oh, we don't want that to happen.
Yeah, it trickles across the whole team.
What would you say? I mean, what's been your biggest challenge or challenges? Trying to build this company from the ground up. Earlier I heard you say, Edward, I mean, you guys didn't take any funds. You really, it sounds like bootstrapped this thing, from the very ground up, which that's very admirable. I love it. That's my model too. Is I'd rather grow as kind of in a controlled manner, as fast as we can afford to grow, but you don't necessarily need to have this like huge explosive growth out of the gate. You got to do it in the right manner. And what would you say that have been your biggest challenges to accomplishing that?
It's having to get creative, I think, you know what I mean? Because you don't have the funds or the big team, so you have to find other alternative ways to still make it work. Lots
of sacrifices.
And I think, again, going back to the different people we have on our team, they all bring this unique perspective. And so when we got a challenge, we all come together, and it's like kind of putting our brains together. Someone's like, I got this idea. And it's like, it's not going to cost a lot of money, but we can, do this and do that. And so then we make it work. And I think by doing that, it's like what you said, Eric, like you're kind of doing it in a controlled space where the risk isn't so crazy high, so if you make that mistake, it isn't catastrophic. It's like, okay, we could fix that and we can correct course. I'm glad I didn't do it with a $500,000 project or something crazy, and so I actually am glad about that. I'm glad, we learned all those things along the way. So now we're actually getting funding and loans. But now because of that, it's like we know how to manage that money because we were able to do it with a little bit. You give us a lot, we could still operate the same mindset, but we're a lot more efficient, So I'm happy that we took the long route instead of rushing right into it.
Agreed, man. There's so many stories of especially in the early days, we all got iPads, and at the time I was traveling still. So I would go to work, from 5 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Then around 6 o'clock at night or whatever, I would link up with Eddie and Ramon, and we all had iPads, got a webcam on there. I'm in my hotel room, we're trying to put a quote together, a bunch of these quotes up until midnight. I'm like, all right, guys, I gotta go. I gotta wake up 5 o'clock in the morning again tomorrow.
I think the other challenge too is just, again, finding, what I call exceptional human beings. You know what I mean? Those ones where they just kind of stick out and you want to hold on to them. And it takes a while, but we're gathering them. They're coming in slowly, but when they come in, Chris, he's a new hire, a couple months now, probably 6 months, but never been in the electrical field ever. But I met him outside of that, and there was just something about him. Again, the work ethic, his mindset. He had this entrepreneur mind. And he was just doing these things that I didn't have to ask him to do. We're just friends hanging out. And a conversation came about where he's like, I'm looking to change careers, this and that. And it was a no-brainer for me. I was like, dude, do you want to come work for me? And he's like, are you serious? I was like, yeah, I don't know where we're going to put you at yet, but I know you're going to be awesome. And again, like Eddie said, he had an open mind. He's like, I'm for it. Let's try it. And dude's been freaking amazing. He just picks up things real quick. He's willing to help out wherever. And again, you don't ask him, but he just has that drive. And he learns, and he's open to learning all this AI. Dude got the GPT Bible, read the whole thing, and he's coming back to us with things to help us in our business. You know what I mean? And so those are the people I'm looking for that go above and beyond, like not just for us, but like for their own selves, improve your value. And then when you bring that to the table, right? Like we appreciate that, you know? So I'm looking for those people. That's been tough.
Awesome. I didn't realize there was a ChatGPT Bible. When I first started my first job out of school was at an investment bank, and I read the Excel Bible, and it was like, like I knew all of the ins and outs, and everyone starts coming to you and asking all the tricks, and it was such a great learning experience. I might have to check out that
look it up, because
GPT Bible.
Not just me, but people are predicting that like it's going to be the quality of the prompts and the quality of the data. You know what I mean? Like people are so used to just, like you said, typing in a thing and go on with the first result. Like we all know, if you've been doing it for a while, you don't go with the first, maybe third, fourth, fifth. You know what I mean? Or sometimes I'll take it to Gemini or Claude, because that one is a little bit better. And so it's going to be the quality over quantity for sure.
You talked about, I think you called them, exceptional, human beings or whatever. I mean, I like to think about them as unicorns, right? Like they're extremely talented, but they have multiple talents, and it's just like, you can always find somebody who's really great at one thing, but man, when you find somebody who's really great at two things, like that is a unicorn. That is somebody that you're always looking for those. You almost never find it, but when you do, man, you got to jump on it. You got to bring them into your team. Even if you can't get them right away, keep pursuing them, keep building that relationship so that you can bring them on, because they're invaluable.
Yep. No, 100%. And Chris has been working with Chris has been awesome. Also it's like, it's cool to see what he's learning from us, and he's doing it in his own business as well, and seeing him change his persona and what he's doing in his business, which is crazy.
He does like social media management, photography, flies drones and stuff. And so I'm the type of person, again, we just like helping people. So I was like, he's going to be helping us, so in return, we're going to help him. So we teach him Shin Fu, how to do sales calls, and he's killing it in his business. And anything he learns, it's vice versa. He brings it over here. And one time he asked me, he's like, "Aren't you afraid I'm gonna like leave?" He's like, "I would never, but aren't you afraid you're helping me make all this money and do all this stuff?" And I'm like, well, I don't want you here just for the paycheck. Obviously, it's nice, but I want you here even during when it's hard. And if money's gonna be like that driving factor, then that sucks, man, to lose you for that. But if you're doing okay over here, then that gets that worry out of the way. You can focus on all this other stuff that's really important. And so he was just like, "Yeah, I'm never leaving," even though I know that's not realistic. It's just nice to hear that, like, he feels like he's appreciative of what we're doing for him, and it goes both ways, and I think I want to mention one other thing too, was that I had this meeting with this guy one time where he was telling me that he has a team of like 25 guys, like Southern New Hampshire, and he said that it took him about 12 years to build that crew, but he said that like most of them came from like Walmart, Dunkin' Donuts, like these places where like you wouldn't expect people to do really technical stuff. But he said, and that's where I got that term exceptional human beings, by the way, because he said that he'd go get his coffee, and just out of all the people, he would notice like one person who was just like working a little bit harder, taking a little bit more attention, just the customer service is exceptional. And he goes, I'll go up to him and I'll just chat with him, build a relationship. Like you said, Eric, it takes time. And he goes, the biggest thing I notice is they have a lot of head trash where they're like, I don't deserve more than this. But in reality, they're so much better. And then long story short, he's in finding these exceptional people in those unlikely scenarios. And he goes, they're like my best people. They all make over $100,000 a year. They're running Cruz, and he goes, so you got to keep an eye out for those people out in the wild. And so now that's what I do. I'm at Dunks, I'm at Walmart. I'm like looking for those, those unique ones, the unicorns.
Yeah. Nice. I want to go back to something else that you brought up earlier. I mean, you talked about, encouraging your people to take risk and to try new things. And like, that really resonates with me. Like I'm such a big proponent as well, as like, I would rather my team, try something and fail than to have not tried it at all, because, I think there's so much that you can learn, through those experiences and the times when it does work and it leads to some, kind of huge breakthrough. I mean, like it's totally worth it. But how do you guys handle, that? I mean, do you do like, these experiments like with your clients and on the job site? And, do you let them know like, hey, we're going to try something new. It might not work out. It might work out great. Like, how do you kind of navigate, when you're trying, new things, because, you sound very, very cutting edge, but I'm curious, how do you sort of manage the expectation with the customer?
I would say, if anything, when it comes to certain installations, that's something I'll probably do in-house, like at home, depending what it is. Like this depends, like how big of a change in the process you're trying to go. Are you trying to go flip the script? You're trying to go brand new square wheel style, like redesign the whole process, or just trying to do a small change in the steps of the process. If it's a larger change, I would probably do a test of some sort, at home somewhere. That way, it's we're not practicing on someone's home.
Yeah.
But so it just depends how big of a
So for example, like that span panel that we got certified with, like we weren't putting it out there yet that we're doing it yet. Like we wanted to first get it in our hands, and we literally went to the office. And it's funny, instead I put the video together, but we did like a whole unboxing. We took it apart, took all the components down, looked at it real closely. Me and Eddie, we dove deep into the details, and then we did lots of training, got the team together, all before we started like saying that we're any professional or anything on it. Cause I'm not going to put it out there if we don't know enough, like not know enough, but like know it like the back of our hand. Like I want us to be badass, like experts on this thing. So it's a lot of front end training, just getting familiar with it, and then trickling it into like our marketing and website. Cause we don't, like Eddie said, we don't want to go too crazy. And so it's just a small trickle. And then as we become familiar and I would say kind of baseline experts on it, then we start rolling it out. So we don't do a lot of like experimenting at customers' house unless like they've already been kind of we've been doing work together and maybe they're interested in something. Like, for example, there's this guy, Alex Palmer, that I want to put a Wiser energy monitor device house just to, test it over at his house. But that's only because it's a controlled thing and he's allowing it. But other than that, though, like a lot of these bots, I've only put maybe half to like use because I'm not really satisfied with the quality the other ones are putting out yet. So I think it's also just being very picky and being patient and not getting frustrated when the thing isn't happening right away. Same with the guys, like, it's like if you make a mistake, that's fine. I'd rather you take that risk, see what comes out of it, because sometimes something amazing happens, and so I'd rather keep an environment open like that than try to be like holding everybody's hands and trying to control everything. I'd rather people take chances.
Yep. Can you tell us a little bit about, your experience and kind of what, I realize you're part of, the Contractor Fights Battleground, Shinfu is kind of part of their sales training. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that because you've alluded to Roleplays. I don't think a lot of people kind of understand what that is, but like, we hear all the time, people are, they're trying to figure out how can I step up my sales game? How can I, develop my sales skills? And, what I'm hearing from you is that, again, you spend a lot of time practicing and training, to be ready to go into battle, to be ready, when you have that client meeting or when you need to make that pitch or presentation. Like maybe you can talk a little bit about, the impact that, being part of, that group has made on you and in the business.
You've been crushing it. Oh my God, been awesome.
That one is it's been super, like, I guess, amazing. It's just doing the role plays, and like before, I didn't realize like all the mistakes I was doing when I was having these like sales calls or consultation calls with these customers. I didn't realize I would just pick, hop on a phone call. I'm just throwing up all over them with all this information, everything, not letting them speak. I didn't realize I was doing it. It's just putting myself in the mindset of, okay, how can I best help this person over the phone right now? Why are they calling? Why? But what is their scenario that they're going through that they need to call us and go in there and solve it? Whether it's from a pain situation, or a pleasure situation, just sit there and just like if you're talking to somebody at a bar, with a buddy, and just, hey, so what's going on? Are you hoping we can help you? How long you been dealing with this? Man, that sounds frustrating. I just sitting there and taking the time and just to listen to them and ask the right questions to really kind of connect with them, and just doing that alone. Like a lot of the times I had these calls, maybe 2% of it is actually about the work that they want. It's literally 2% of like for example, actually my last consultation call was for 2 span panels. I think I talked about the span panel for maybe 3 minutes. The rest, I think the other 45 minutes, was just like talking about technology. He turns out he's an AI engineer. I was talking to him about AI for most of it. And then next thing you know, he's like, okay, hey, do you want to know the price? He's like, yeah, sure. Boom. Oh, that sounds perfect. I want to go. I trust. Yeah, let's do it. It's like, it's crazy. Just the fact that all you need to do is just sit there and listen to them and put yourself in a position to best help them.
Yeah.
It's really awesome.
It sounds like that relationship too. I mean, you connect with them on a very, deeper level than, hey, I'm not just here to sell you something. Let's learn. Let's get to know each other.
It makes it easier for us because, again, it's the niching down. Like we if you can't tell, we love this stuff. Like we're passionate about all this stuff. So it just makes it that much easier when most of the calls are about the things we already love and we're into. So we can geek out, we can talk, and you can hear it through our voice, and you can tell the other person on the line, they're calling for like the same thing. So it's like Eddie said, we're just two friends talking, and next thing you know, we got to get into the price now, and it's less of a big deal because they feel like they can trust us. And I think, again, going back to improving our customer service, it's huge, and I think that's been helping us a lot.
So how much time would you say you devote to, doing those role plays and practicing and training? Like, how much of your time are you devoting to that, on a daily or weekly basis?
Man, I try to do as much as I can.
Savage, man.
To be honest, I try to do as much as I can. Even with certain questions, like even with my interactions, even with like my loved ones or my girlfriend or whatever, the same questions I would ask customers, I kind of work it into my day to day as well, just to make sure it's still in my. It's just my constant work tracks. Is this how I speak now? Is this a certain questions I ask everybody, especially open-ended questions? I just kind of work it into my usual day-to-day conversation as well, and that helps a lot. And it's just less nervous as far as when it is time to get into the hop on a call with a customer. It's not like me sitting there nervous. Okay, all right, we got all my papers out. Let me make sure I don't forget anything. It's like, no, okay, sitting there. What's up, man? How's it going?
Yeah, I remember Mark Bunker, he was telling me one time, he's like, what you could practice on is your kids. He's like, you have 2 kids, right? He's like, go to them and just ask them like questions. They're going to love it because their dad's asking them a ton of questions, but it's going to help you get just inherently better at just asking questions like, why this? And how do you feel about that? Like, or that's interesting. Like, why do you say that? And so I try to practice on the kids all the time and they love it. Like, just build a town on them.
Love it. So tell us, what is your sales process look like? I mean, what, from new lead comes in. I mean, are they reaching out to you on the website? Are they referrals? How, kind of what does that entire flow look like from lead all the way through to customer?
I think on the front end, Nick, I guess Eddie. Well, I'll say on the front end because it does get to Eddie after when we get to the consultation calls. But lately it's been through the website. It's been awesome. We just been beefing up the SEO, and so it's nice getting a lot more emails now of them filling out the form. But when it comes to the form, Chris will grab that, bring it into JobTread, build a profile, and then he tags Eddie in there, and then Eddie knows now, like, okay, I got to set up this consultation call. So he'll work with Chris. Chris will get it on the schedule, and then Eddie will just kind of coordinate from there. And then I kind of let you take it from there. Eddie, like, what happens from there?
Yeah. From there, depending on what their requests are, I will either, let's say for example, it's a spam panel. I kind of give the homeowner some homework as far as getting some photos of the space, of the existing panel and stuff like that, just so I could kind of do some figuring out if all their circuits that they have can even fit in the spam panel or not. So I kind of give them homework to kind of give us some feedback as far as photos and some other little minor details, and then from there, once they provide that, then I'll schedule a phone call with them. If the phone call goes well, it goes after the phone call. It'll go one from 2 ways. Either they're ready to move forward, 50% down, get them on the schedule, or they'll do an on-site consultation with the site visit. Eddie, then that's when Eddie goes out there and does his thing. And after the site visit, get a number together, pass it on.
And then from there, send it out to them. We'll talk. Like we'll game plan together. He'll tell me how the call went and kind of update me on like, okay, was it like a pain or pleasure call? Like we'll go over motives and. We'll just do, a lot of front-end training and practice before I go out there. So that when I get there, I want to continue the continuity of like, man, Eddie and had an amazing time talking. I want to continue that. Like when I show up, I want to make it amazing too and fun. And so that's why we talk ahead of time. And then that seems to be working a lot. We didn't do that before. So the communication between Eddie and I has strengthened, and that's improved our customer service again. And then again, if they move through, they approve the quote. I'll do a follow-up call. I still act as project manager, so I'll do a lot of the follow-up calls. Again, it's the relationship, the communication, making them feel heard, just letting them know, hey, we got everything from you and we're ready to move forward. And then I think from there, it's just touch points from there leading up to the job. And then I like to show them if I can, day one, you know what I mean? Because again, a familiar face, I forget who said it. So one time someone's like, that's a bit like going on like dates, right? For like a long time. And then you're scheduling the wedding. And then, you know, you get there and all of a sudden someone else just shows up. It's like, whoa, what the hell? Like, who is this? So for me, it's a way of like, okay, familiar face, Edward, who's this? Oh, this is our electrician, Ramon. He's awesome. You love him. Do the nice handoff. And then I can bounce. But then again, it's still just that experience that we like to white glove service the whole time. You know what I mean? We tend to be a little bit more expensive, but, you know, I think it's the experience that separates us. So again, it's just keeping constant communication, staying plugged in. And then again, even at the end, you know, we like to do walkthroughs all the way. We don't fail inspections. That's just like a thing. We don't fail any inspections. So once the inspection gets passed, we always like to ask, like, how did we do? And then, you know, then that's you start talking about the Google reviews. And again, I'll try to get more video testimonials. The few that we've done have been amazing. So that's been, again, another focus. It just popped in my head. Video testimonials are a big one because we need to capture those experiences and have them talk about how awesome it was, not us.
Yeah, I mean the reviews have been a game changer for us as well, and just capturing, you know, video testimonials. I mean, I encourage everybody at the end of every project, just, hey, would you mind if I, you know, just pulled out my phone and recorded a quick, you know, 2-minute video? Just maybe you could talk about, you know, what were your original challenges that, you know, why did you call us? What were you trying to solve? You know, how did we do? You know, what do you know, just kind of tell us about the project. Like, such a great way. And, you know, like, even if you never use the video, you know, it just, you start to collect so much insight, and it just really helps just, you know, take the story and kind of, you know, put it in that bank so that you can kind of keep referencing back. You figure out who's going to be a great reference in the future. I mean, find that a lot of people, they just, you know, they do a great job. They take it all the way to the goal line, but then it's like, you know, you got to think about how do I use this in that next, you know, that next deal that I've got? Like, how do we keep this going?
100%, man.
Guys, it's important to get, like, whether it's reviews or video testimonials or anything like that, so that way you can put it in all your social media.
No.
Like, I can tell you the deciding point where it changed for me was we did a job for Mr. Bacon. It was a nightmare situation. Got ripped off by 3 different GCs, 4 different electricians, $130,000 or something like that wasted, you know. And so it was just a nightmare situation. We went in there and it was very difficult. But again, going back to the customer service, I was very patient with him. We knocked the job out of the park. I got a testimonial, put it online, and there was a traveling doctor who she saw that, and she's like, holy crap, I'm in the same position or situation. Well, she was in Vermont, another state. And so she calls me and we're talking. I'm like, you realize we're in another state, right? She's like, yeah, but I saw the video. Like, it's, you know, like, I definitely need, you guys are the ones who can be able to solve my problem. And so I was like, holy crap. And so she paid for us to go out there to stay in hotels. Like, she lived on a mountain. We had to drive up a crazy, sketchy freaking road to get up to her house. But it was an awesome experience. I wouldn't change anything about it, but it was pretty wild that got us that. And so I'm like, okay, we need to do more of these type of things, man, because you never know who's going to come across this content. It's crazy.
I mean, I gotta say, like, if only you were in Texas. I mean, anytime I need electrical work, like, I just feel super excited to be talking to you right now. Like, I gotta imagine everybody wants to move forward with you, but, like, are there ever scenarios where you guys are like, hey, we're not the right fit here, or, like, you know, how do you handle kind of where?
So that aspect, you know, sometimes people call. I won't say as far as we're not a good fit. I know sometimes people call and they're asking for the world and then realize they can't get the world, unfortunately. Like, there's been certain times when someone's calling and it's like, oh, I want to do the spam panel. Because I like, you know, energy management and all this stuff, and I can see why my, you know, electricity bill is so high. But then they find out the price and they're like, ooh.
What? Yeah.
I can't do that. It's like, well, hey, I could get you bait, but what we've been doing recently, offering more different packages for homeowners. Like, hey, I know you can't get the span, and I know you really need to find out where your electricity bills are going so high that we get the Schneider Wiser. And for like less than $1,000, you can get this little box that's going to tell you all the information, not as detailed or as automatically really quick as a span, but it's going to give you that data. And those go like, oh my God, sweet, yes, I can still get it. So that's how we've been kind of challenging that. Any homeowners that realize what they're asking is kind of out of their budget, but still having something.
Yeah, like we don't want to like send them out the door with no solutions, right? Like, so it's like we're the experts. We can come up with other ways to still meet them where they're at, And I want to bring up another story because I'm super proud of it, and I always like to talk about it. I went to a site visit with this guy who was going to renovate an apartment or a condo for his daughter, and he was coming from Florida. So he didn't know anybody out there, but he knows how to do all this work. And so he's like, I just need somebody to do electrical work. Long story short, we're walking through and we're having a great conversation. We're really hitting it off. And I'm already kind of noticing that maybe it may not be a good fit for the budget. So I always like to just be transparent all the time. I always tell people, like, I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, like, going to be honest. And I was kind of telling him that, like, I have a feeling this, may be an issue with this. I'm not going to, kind of end it right here, but let's just explore this. And so he was like, yeah, just send me the quote anyways, and we'll go from there. And we ended up being too expensive, but I told him, I was like, listen, I still really want to help you, so let me find you another electrician. So I literally, had another guy I had a good relationship with. He's just a one-man operation, no overhead. He gets in there and he does the job within budget. And then, dude, I get a 5-star Google review from him. Didn't even get the job. And we still get a 5-star review because he was like, Edward still just helped me. He still just figured out how to help me get the job done. Didn't even care about, like, getting the job. You know what I mean? I was like, no, I really want to help this guy. And so that 5-star review is going to go way longer than that one job, So again, my main focus was just helping first, and then everything else came after.
Awesome, man. I find when you focus on doing good, the universe just seems to reward that. That's awesome. You got that 5-star review from it there. How do you go about thinking about competition? I mean, is it, it sounds like you just referred, deal out to somebody else who's going to be a better fit, but like, what are your thoughts on competition?
I mean, to be fair, it's like if you do your thing, we feel like we're in our lane. We know where we want to be. We know how we want to market ourselves, and we just market the people that
we don't really pay attention too much to it. It's like we're focused on our customers and being the best at what they're going to need us for. And if we come across other contractors, electricians, the first thing we try to do is build a relationship. Like, there's no need to be all weird and competitive. You know what I mean? Like, we know what we're good at, and every time we meet up with an electrician, like, hey, remember that one time we met up with this, we met up with them at a Dunks just to get coffee. Turns out he doesn't like doing like service panel upgrades. We love doing 200 amp service panel upgrades. So it's like, all right, you'll send us those. And then we don't like doing under cabinet lights. He loves doing under cabinet lights. So again, we just, so it ended up being perfect. So that's when I realized that, okay, we got to start running towards the relationships, not away from them, especially people in the same industry. Like, we have another guy I met just the other day. He loves doing fire alarm systems. We don't do that. We can, but we don't like doing it. He doesn't like doing the big jobs. So again, anything fire alarm, we bring him involved, and he loves it, and we all work together. And again, just relationships are huge for anybody starting off, man. Build those all day long.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. 100%.
Love that. That is just, it's such a valuable lesson for people. Like, I know, again, early on in every business I've started, and just I see people all the time that, they view their competition as this, like, arch enemy, this terrible, thing. But it's like, man, like, there's so much that you can learn from them. And the reality is, I would rather, a prospect be debating, do I want to hire this company or that company versus if I want to do this at all or not. I mean, indecision is like the worst thing ever here. Like, let's make a choice and do something, over doing nothing. And so, I think that's so, like, awesome though, how you have, like, really, figured out how to embrace your competition to actually work together where you can both kind of, focus on your strengths and outsource, what you don't want to do and those things to the guy next door. I mean, that's great, man. Everybody can win. Like, there's such an, there's such an abundance of work, and this abundance mentality is so important. I mean, there is so much more supply than there is, so much more demand than there is supply, in the whole construction industry as a whole. And, it's just so awesome when you see, people that are working together and understand that, like, look, as a whole, we need to elevate the industry, and we all need to do better work.
100%.
It's just going to benefit everybody.
Yeah, we all could eat incredibly well.
Exactly.
We all can eat incredibly well here. It's so why ruin that? for everybody's opportunity that can, make a really good living.
Yeah.
And not just be and not just be like, one man in a van kind of deal and just like, just having a shitty experience basically. But no, it's important to, kind of, sub out the things that like you just said, sub out the things you don't want to do, and they sub out the things they don't want to do to you. There you go. Everybody wins.
You don't want us practicing at house, and then like electricians practicing on that. No, you want to get someone who's an expert, and I just so happen to have a really good friend who does that thing. Would you want me to bring them involved? Oh yeah, for sure. Because again, it's all about delivering that high quality service. I ain't gonna try to get involved with something we don't really dabble in. Like, oh wait, man. Only person who loses is the customer, and then us. Yes. So, yeah.
So I've got a really burning question here. We've talked a lot about it today. Do I need a span panel in my home?
Yes.
Oh, so yes, span panel, man. I love the span panel a lot. I definitely plan on putting one in my home.
Let's take a step back. What is it? It's some sort of a smart, panel to save your money.
So basically, it's a smart panel, where it gives the customer access via app, where they can see basically how efficient their home is, down to each individual circuit of how much power it's using. So that way, it could give the homeowner some insight as far as, man, my electricity bill went up like a couple $100. Like what's going on here? They can open up the app to see, man, my refrigerator, is pulling a lot more than the last couple of months.
That's a real life scenario, by the way. We had a customer give us an update.
It's a real life scenario that then they're still like thinking, oh wait, my refrigerator is like 10 years old. Like, damn, I probably should get a new one.
Running, you didn't even know it was constantly running, and then the app is telling you, hey, this thing's pulling up a lot of power, man. If you replaced it, you could probably save this much on your bill. Huge.
And another really cool thing you could since what makes it smart is the load center where the breakers land. That's what's smart about it. It's basically a computer. And it's cool because let's say, for example, the homeowner's going on a long trip, 1 month away, vacation. You don't need everything to be on. You just need the bare necessities, refrigerator on, whatever HVAC stuff that needs to be stayed on, whatever. So you could, via the app, turn off the breakers and turn off the circuits. Not mechanically off the breaker. Yeah, you get out to the world and you can turn it off, but obviously not mechanically the breakers are off, but the particular contact point where the breaker lands, it can shut off power there.
Nice.
And you can turn it back on however you please. And also the load shedding capabilities it can do, and also it's battery backup ready and solar ready. So once you integrate solar or battery via the same app, you can see what your solar is producing. You can see what your batteries are producing. How much priority circuits, and when you lose power, basically you don't even notice you lost power.
Yeah, it switches over. What I love about it is the fact that you can what Eddie, what we always tell customers, like if they put a battery like the Powerwall in, you put a span, it boosts 40%, right?
Oh yeah, you could extrapolate an extra 40% out of that battery because the span is communicating with the Powerwall and also with the circuits that you have set as priority to make sure not one circuit is draining your battery.
It'll pair up with Powerwall too, where like if it knows there's a storm coming, it'll, like what Eddie was talking about, there's like 3 different columns you can put it in. I forget what they are, like must have, nice to have, like you don't really care about circuits. It uses those buckets to prioritize what it's going to do. So if it sees a storm coming, it's going to drop all these other ones. It's going to only focus on priority, and it's going to get your battery charged up to a trickle charge point right before the storm comes to get you that much more battery before it comes. So that's all the smart stuff that like helps, man. It's getting better and better too. Like they have updates coming all the time. So yeah, that's where we live, man, and that's
we love it, man. It's super awesome. It's like it's just a 75-pound one, like this big old panel that has a tempered glass front, and when you open it, it's like when you open a fridge, you see a light when you open the panels. There's this nice white LED.
And you still get to get that feeling with electronics. You peel the plastic off the front, it's amazing, nice. Man. It's super cool. I think everybody should have one in the home, just to make better, smarter decisions.
That's funny. So I'm a huge Tesla evangelist. I mean, first thing I bought after I sold my first company was a Tesla. I actually got into the whole home automation. Got really into plumbing, electrical. I went in. I cut my water main coming into my house, and I spliced in a meter reader as well as a shutoff valve, so that I could like basically monitor for drips and or just pipe burst or whatever, and it just automatically shuts off the water to the home. And it actually happened once. I got to prevent my home from flooding in a freeze there. But then I started going and playing with the electrical panel, and this is like back in, I don't know, I want to say like 2017 or something, where I found you could, these early devices, you could like basically open up the panel and clamp on, the kind of just clamp it around the main electrical thing. Yep. And then it would, essentially kind of read, and I guess every device has like its unique, identifier or whatever, and it reads it. And my wife's like, Eric, okay, like, playing with the water is fine. You are not an electrician. I don't want you to die. Like, get out of the electrical panel. Go find a job or go do something.
Wow, bro, it's crazy, man. Yeah.
Oh man.
Man, I was like, I was loving electrical. Though. I like actually went and looked up, like, so how can I, can I go sit the electrician's exam? Like, maybe I can just go study. And that's when I saw that you had to have, like, I can't remember how many hours, apprentice hours it was. I was like, well, that's a non-starter for me.
Like Tony, like our master electrician, like, what was it, like 7 or 8 years? Like, what was that, like a lawyer's length of time? Like, it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
I mean, every year,
crazy.
So it's no, man, it's wicked fun. I feel your excitement when you brought that up, because we're the same way. Like, we get all hyped up just even starting something,
dude. I mean, just in general, just like what we, as far as smart home stuff and what we promote, like me and Eddie, we talk about this every single day. Like, I try to make, like, this is my home office here. Like, I have everything control, all the lights control with the A word. Just like, I love it. I love the fact I can set routines and not have to think about anything, and then lights are just turning, things are just turning on and off as they were set.
I always tell people, like, we live it. Like, so all the stuff we're preaching to you, like, we live it. We genuinely do. Like, we love that we use the stuff we're telling you about too. I feel like a hypocrite if I'm over here trying to sell these things that, like, we don't use ourselves, you know what I mean? And so it just makes it easier.
Awesome, man. Well, look, I want to end on a more serious note. Like, you guys have built something that, is really tremendous. I mean, I feel the passion and the excitement, and I think that is the most important thing that, that I look for when I'm building my team, every day. Like, I think passion is like the secret sauce that, like, is the difference between getting up and wanting to do your best every single day. And, I'm just curious, like, what advice would you give to others, who are much earlier on in their, in their entrepreneurial journey? Maybe they're still, got one foot on the, in the tools, 1 foot out, wanting to make that transition to build, a very successful business like you guys have done. Like, what advice would you give them? What do you wish you would have known, when you started your business that, that now that might help, help them out in some way or another? What do you got for them?
I would say, not necessarily that I didn't know before that I know now, but just one thing that really helped, especially, I know for me, and I guess I would say, is that as you're doing this, as you're growing your business, don't forget yourself. Don't forget to work on yourself. Make sure you still take care of yourself. Don't be every single day eating fast food, and having these bad food, not feeding yourself, good food, not being healthy, drinking water, staying in shape, and just, self-reflect a lot. Make sure your head is in the right space, because even before you start making decisions about, whether your business or where you should go, if you yourself is not, up to snuff, every single decision you make is gonna be poor. Every single thing you decide you want to do, it's gonna be 50%, not the 110% that you want. It's gonna reflect to how you react to your team. So yeah, I would say make sure you take care of yourself.
Reminded, one thing that changed a lot for me was, I don't remember which podcast I was listening to, but Mike Rowley goes, you don't have to be passionate about the thing you're doing, but just bring your passion with you, and I was like, oh crap. I was like, me and Eddie, we come from different backgrounds, so it's not like electricity in the beginning was like super exciting for me, or I was really into it. Like, I'm a graphic designer, like artist, like I like that more. But when I heard that, I was like, oh, okay, so like I don't necessarily have to like doing some of these things that are not sexy in business. I think when you start business, like you start, it's very lonely. It can be lonely sometimes. So you're just like, oh man, this sucks. Like you feel dumb sometimes. So I would just say to people, like, be patient. Bring your passion with you from the reason why you're doing it, and try to apply that. You know what I mean? It's like redirecting like energy, for good, instead of for like just beating yourself down. And just be patient. Like, we've been doing this for like about to go on 8 years, and they always like to say that overnight thing, right? So it's like, no, it took a long time to get here, and it took a lot of patience. and a lot of just self-reflecting. Like Eddie said, like Eddie's real big into like health, and I'm glad that I have him around because he keeps me in check with like my health and going to the gym, and he's a big proponent on eating better, and it does like help, man. Like ever since I started doing that, going on my walks, I feel like I can show up every day better, you know what I mean, for the team than when I don't, you know what I mean? I got this fog, I'm not really making clear decisions, and it's just been a complete 180 lately ever since I've been focusing on my health.
Awesome, guys. I mean, just such an awesome episode here. I really appreciate you. I feel like we could do this for another couple hours.
Dude, easily. If you ever want to back on, brother, we can talk, dog. Like, we love this stuff.
100%.
I love it, though. I mean, there's just so much great, just tips and advice has come out of this. I mean, I think, again, like just being passionate, learning to enjoy the journey, when you can wake up every day and love what you're doing, when you do right by your customers, like when you're trying to help other people and you can kind of get out of your own mindset and your own way, like let's do good, let's create good, good things will happen. You guys have done a great job building this business. I'm really excited to see you, where you keep taking it. Cause I mean, it seems like every day you guys are figuring out new things. I mean, the whole AI, super exciting. I appreciate you sharing, all of your insights there. And, I very much value you guys. It's been an honor to have you as a longtime JobTread customer, and can't wait to see what the future holds for you.
And like I said, I appreciate the opportunity. We've been both me and Eddie appreciate the opportunity. So hopefully we can do it again.
You keep doing your thing with JobTread, man. That it allows us to keep doing our thing on this side, because you said earlier you're really into the AI and tech, and by you always improving JobTread, it empowers us to keep making decisions to grow our business. So thank you again too.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. And it's always exciting though to see that, at the end of the day, we do it to help others be successful. And so, when I get to see these stories, time and time again, it makes it all worth it.
Awesome.
So,
awesome,
win-win
man.
for all of us.
100%, brother. It's been great. Thanks, man.
Alrighty.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Builder Stories. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and gained valuable insights that can help you in your journey along the way. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and leave us a review. And as always, if you or someone you know has a story to share, please contact us at builderstories.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Eric Fortenberry, and remember, every builder has a unique story. Keep building yours.